Okay, forget about your calculators, your spreadsheets, all of it, just for a second. What if I told you that over 1,000 years ago, an entire civilization, I mean everything, was run by a lost mathematical system? A kind of powerful code that managed everything from, trade deals to massive construction projects. Well, today, we're rediscovering that system.
No, really think about that for a second. What if math wasn't just some boring subject you had to get through in school? What if it was the literal operating system for a whole civilization? The underlying code that dictates how society actually functions, day in and day out.
Because, well, that's exactly what it was. It was called Patiganita. And it was created by this brilliant mind, a mathematician named Śrīdharācārya, over 1,000 years ago. And look, this was no dusty old textbook full of sums. No, no. This was a practical manual, a guide for solving the real messy, complicated problems of the world. So the best way to really get our heads around Patiganita is to stick with that main idea. It's an operating system for a civilization. And just like any good OS, it was designed so elegantly, with two core parts that just worked together in perfect harmony. Okay, so those two parts were called logistics and determinations. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Logistics, that was the engine, the raw computational power. And then the determinations, those were the apps, the specific programs that the engine would run to solve all those everyday challenges. All right, so let's pop the hood, right? Let's take a look at the engine first. These logistics, they were the raw mathematical horsepower, the absolute core functions that made this whole OS run. And we're not just talking about a couple of simple ideas here. Śrīdharācārya laid out an incredible 29 distinct tools in this engine. This wasn't just some little toolkit, it was a complete workshop.
So, the whole system boots up with the absolute essentials, right? The base code that everything else is built on. We're talking about the bedrock of all math, addition and subtraction. Every single count, every tally, every measure of grain, it all starts right here.
But of course, it doesn't stop there. The next layer of code brings in multiplication and division. And boom, suddenly the power of this operating system just explodes. With just these four basic functions, you can now manage complex inventories, figure out fair trade, and run the logistics for an entire growing city. And this is where the engine really shows its sophistication. It goes way beyond simple counting and moves into the third dimension. We're talking about calculating things like squares, cubes, and their roots. The tools you absolutely need to design buildings, measure land, and literally build the world around you. And then, finally, the engine integrates the tools for a truly advanced society. Fractions, ratios, and proportions. This is the kind of math you need for complex finance, for scaling up architecture, for making sure every transaction is fair. This thing wasn't just an engine. It was a total masterpiece of logical design. Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful engine, but what good is an engine if you don't have anything for it to run? That brings us to the second part of the system, the apps. Śrīdharācārya called them determinations, and this is where the abstract numbers meet the messy, complicated real world. This is exactly the kind of question Patiganita was built to answer. This isn't abstract theory. We're talking about practical problems, labor, resources, time. This is math in motion. Or how about this one? A question you could hear in any marketplace, back then or even today. How do you handle a barter system when things have different values? Well, the determinations provided clear step-by-step procedures for this, making sure the economy was fair and could actually function. And honestly, the scope of these apps was just staggering. The system could handle everything from mixing different qualities of goods together to planning massive construction projects. It even had these really elegant methods for using the length of a shadow to calculate the height of a temple. Come on. This wasn't just math on a page. This was the math that built their world. But this incredible system had a secret weapon, a concept so profound it would not only elevate Patiganita, but would literally change the entire course of mathematics, forever. Because Śrīdharācārya didn't just include zero, he practically weaponized it. See, while the idea of zero had been floating around, this system was one of the very first to treat it not just as, an absence of something, but as a number with immense power all its own. This number, this symbol for nothing, was about to become the key to everything. So here's the crucial leap. Building on the genius of his predecessor, Brahmagupta, Śrīdharācārya treated 0 as a real number. It wasn't just an empty space anymore. You could add with it, subtract from it, multiply by it. It was like giving that engine we talked about a turbocharger. It just exponentially expanded the power of the whole system.
So, okay, why should any of us care about a math system from over 1,000 years ago? Well, because its fundamental logic is all around you right now. Its principles didn't just vanish into thin air. No, they evolved. They became the foundation for the digital world you're living in at this very moment.
The connection it's actually shockingly direct. Patiganita was built on one core idea, creating repeatable, step-by-step instructions to solve a problem. And what does that sound like to you? That is the literal definition of an algorithm. The very same core logic that balanced trade in an ancient market is now powering our financial systems, designing our cities, and analyzing all of our data. And that, I think, is the ultimate lesson we can take from this lost system, that mathematics at its most profound isn't about solving equations. It's about solving reality.
So there you have it, the incredible story of Patiganita. 29 logistical tools powering 9 real-world applications. One complete operating system for a civilization lost to time, but whose legacy is literally coded into the world we live in today. If this explainer helped you see math in a new light, show some support with a like and subscribe for more deep dives into these powerful ideas.